In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you how to pitch your film idea. So I'm essentially going to be talking through all of the different elements that are required in a treatment that you might send to get funding or to tell somebody about your film and how you're going to make it. And like with last week's video, there'll be a link in the description box to where you can get a cheat sheet of all the information that I'm saying in this video to help guide you through and remember everything that I've said. So first things first, at the beginning of your treatment or your pitch document, you want to have the title of your film. I know it seems silly, but some people will forget that sort of information. Also at the top of your treatment and your pitch document, you want to have the date, ideally, your production company or your name, so who's going to be creating this. That information wants to be at the top of every single page. So if a page gets misplaced from your document, then people are going to know that it's still part of the same pitch document. Another good tip for pitch documents for the same reasons is to add page numbers. You could do this at the center, at the bottom, or bottom left, wherever you want to do it really. But it's a good idea to, however many pages your document is, say it's 5 or 6, to put 1 of 5 or 2 of 6 so that people know how many pages there were, because often if it's stapled, people will unstaple it, all those pages will get spread out, and it's quite easy for a page to go missing. So that is a really crucial tip for making sure that nothing gets lost in your document. So after you have your title, you want to have your synopsis or your logline or your top line, which is a really succinct summary of what your film is, what it's about. So 1 or 2 sentences, as concisely as you can, make it sound really enticing and engaging. So you've got your title and then you have your top line, which is your synopsis of your idea, your film. Now below that on your document, you might want to note down the genre. You might want to say this is a horror film or a comedy, just to give people an idea of what it is tonally. You're never going to lose marks by adding that sort of information in, so I think it's always a good idea to put that there. The next thing that people will want to see in your document is usually a style reference. So everybody has inspiration from somewhere. You want to take references from all of the sort of places that have inspired you. Maybe it's the design or look of another film, maybe it's the actual technique of the animation in a film, or perhaps it's the storyline. Maybe you're basing your film on the narrative of a book or something like that. You want to drop images, make it really nice and visual, of all of the references that are going to explain the style of your piece and the look of it. How is your technique going to look? How are the visuals going to look? Try and make that as visual as possible, and always put annotations underneath each image just to explain what that image relates to and how that applies to what it is that you're making. Now at this point in the document, if you are a visual person and you're very good at creating your own artwork and perhaps you're good at drawing, you could put in at this point your own mock-ups of your film. So perhaps you make a few stills that are in the style of your work. If you're a stop motion animator, perhaps you've already started thinking about characters. Maybe you want to even look at materials, take some pictures of materials and show the textures of things and how that is going to play a part in your film. If you're doing something hand-drawn, perhaps you've hand-drawn out frames that are going to really show off the sort of finished look that your film might have. Put that all in the style section. But don't make this too long. We're looking at perhaps a page of kind of images and explanation, no more than that. A pitch document as a whole should really be no more than 5 or 6 pages long. So don't go over the top, but definitely include as many references that are meaningful to your finished look of your film. Now the rest of the document all really depends on your idea and what it is that you're making. If it's a character-based film, perhaps you've got multiple characters, a hero, a villain, at this point you might want to talk about them slightly, introduce us to the characters. And if you've done character turnarounds where you've got your front facing, your side facing, your back facing, put in a page to show your character design. If you're just pitching a short film, then you'll probably want to include some storyboards to show how that film's going to look. Now, storyboards can be pages and pages and pages long, so you might not want to include it all in there. You might just want to include a part of the idea. Maybe it's like the beginning or a really crucial part within your film, just to kind of entice people and get them interested and, you know, to see where things are going. It doesn't necessarily have to include storyboards in the document. You could do little thumbnail sketches, which are generally smaller storyboarding images, which I'll talk about in the next video, which is all going to be about storyboarding. But if your idea is quite large, then a different way of presenting this information is to have a written paragraph or 2 paragraphs that are essentially what's going to happen in your film. Make this descriptive, make this really interesting and well thought through. You want to draw people into your world and really get them engaged with what it is that you want to make. You want them to be excited by this document. So really think about the descriptions and make people really get a clear visual in their head of your idea. Other things that you might want to include are a timeline of how long this is going to take to create. This will depend on who you're pitching to and whether they've asked for that sort of information. If this is a pitch for funding, you might want to ask them what they're expecting out of a pitch document so that you make sure that you get all those extra bits of information that they might need in your document. For example, they might want to know what your budget is, you know, how much this is going to cost. So you'll have to do a rough breakdown of your costing, and the easiest way to do this is to break it into pre-production, production and post-production. Estimate how long each of those sections are going to cost and then put a little figure and then a total at the bottom. But literally, pitch documents are tailored to you. You do what feels right to you and put the information that you feel best represents your idea in your document. And the final thing to note is to always make sure your contact information is on there as well. I know I said at the beginning to put on every single page your name, production company, the date and the title of your film, but also have your contact number. If you've got a website, put that there, and an email address, because if people like your film, you want them to be able to get in touch with you, and you want them to find that an easy thing to do, because that's gonna be like, oh, mobile number, let's give them a call, and you're more likely to get contacted. So make sure the contact information is there and make sure that it is there on every single page as well. So anyway, like I was saying, not everybody's going to need to make a pitch document, but you may find yourself in a position where you need to make one day, and it's useful to know what is involved in making one and how to go about it. I hope you found this helpful. The next video in this series will be on storyboarding and how to visually tell your story and the process that I go through to do that. So if you're finding this series helpful, do give it a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you again in the next one.